Hello, I'm Scott from WarmlyYours, and today we're going to show you how to test your aerial sensor. We're going to assume that you have this hooked up to the system, that the sensor is wired to your control. The last thing to do is to test it to make sure that it turns the control on. So this sensor, once again, has a sensor at the top, which is the moisture sensor, and it has a sensor at the base, which is the temperature sensor. This sensor will send a signal back to the control when it's wet and when it's below 38 degrees outside. That's why your system doesn't turn on in the middle of the summer. So what we need to do is we need to test it to make sure that it works. So that's what these two things are for. Water and a can of compressed air turned upside down. And I'm going to show you that first. So we're going to go ahead and test the top. We're going to make it wet by using water. And that's going to complete the circuit at the top to trick it that it's wet. The next thing we have to do is we have to trick it and to make it think that it's cold. So we're going to find the tab right here, right above the label. We're going to turn the system around, the sensor around 180 degrees. We're going to take our compressed air. We're going to turn it upside down. This won't work if you do it right side up. You have to turn it upside down and you have to spray the base of the sensor. 10, 15 seconds. Make sure that you have a full can of air. You can get this compressed air anywhere where they sell computers or keyboards because it's used to clean keyboards off. Then, within a few seconds, you should hear the control go on, and that is how you test your aerial sensor. If you have any more questions, please let us know. You can get a hold of us anytime at www.warmlyyours.com. Thanks for watching.